Why does shamanism continue to intrigue us, beguile us, enchant us? Do we really understand what it is all about? Shamanism, that weird and holy ancient spiritual practice, is continually found in various cultures around the world, from the steppes of Siberia to the rainforests of South America and the desert southwest of North America, holy regions of Earth. It predates organized religions and is based on the visible world being pervaded by invisible forces or spirits that affect the lives of the living. The initiates are initiated into the other realms, not promised them as modern organized religions proposes in our day. At its core, shamanism is about the relationship between humans, nature, and the spirit world, the astonishing oneness of all things which we still fail to grasp in our modern age. The shaman is a terrible person to those who don't understand, who is believed to have access to and influence in the world of benevolent and malevolent spirits, whether here on Earth or in the netherworld of space. They typically enter into altered states of consciousness, trances, during rituals and meditations. These can be induced by rhythmic drumming, dancing, or the ingestion of psychoactive and entheogenic substances. In this trance state, shamans are said to journey to the spirit world, either flying on their drum or ascending the celestial ladder of height, as Jacob's ladder in the Old Testament attests. This other dimension we are usually not paying attention to in our own busy world of materialism. Shamans battle with the spirits to protect the community when outbreaks of pestilence and disease arise. They are healers, spiritual leaders, and the mediators between the human world and the spirit world. In many cultures, the shaman's duties include healing the sick, divining the hidden, and guiding the souls of the dead to the afterlife. They are also called upon to ensure success in hunting, warfare, and fertility. Healing is one of the most important roles of a shaman, both physical, emotional, including psychological ailments. Unlike Western medicine, shamanic healing addresses the spiritual aspect of illness, what is underneath the physical. It is commonly believed that illnesses have spiritual causes, such as soul loss, spiritual intrusion, or the breaking of taboos. The shaman may perform a variety of tasks to heal, such as retrieving a lost soul, removing harmful spiritual entities, or restoring balance to the afflicted person. Shamans frequently seek knowledge, not only to understand the causes of illness or misfortune alone, but also to see into the future, or to find hidden things, hidden knowledge. This can be crucial in times of crisis, such as during food shortages, or between significant events like battles. Through their journeys, some of which they climb the celestial pole of the world, the axis mundi, which can be a large tall tree to get to the holy spaces or communicate with spirit guides, shamans gain insights that are not accessible to ordinary individuals. Shamans often preside over ceremonies and rituals designed to maintain harmony between the community and the spirits of nature. These rituals can include seasonal festivals, initiation rites, and other community gatherings, the purpose of which these ceremonies can be to secure good weather, successful harvests, fertility, and protection from negative spirits. Apart from physical healing, shamans also provide spiritual and psychological guidance. They help individuals cope with grief, trauma, and life transitions. By maintaining a balance between the human and the spirit worlds, shamans protect their communities from spiritual harm. Shamans are also custodians of cultural knowledge and traditions. They teach the younger generation through stories, songs, and direct instruction about the values, the myths, and the spiritual beliefs of the culture. It is a complex, multifaceted practice. It is deeply rooted in the cultural fabric of many indigenous societies and offers a unique window into how our own ancestors understood the world and our place in it. Shamans, through their deep connection with nature and the spiritual world, played a vital role in guiding and healing their communities, acting not only as healers, but also as spiritual leaders, educators, and keepers of wisdom. While the specifics of shamanic practice can vary between the cultures, the underlying principles of connection, respect, and balance with the natural and the spiritual worlds remain remarkably consistent. The initiation of a shaman is a profound and transformative progress, often marked by significant physical, psychological, and spiritual trials. This initiation is not merely a formal ceremony, but a complex series of events that can last for years. This underscores the prospective shaman's transition from a mundane existence to one deeply intertwined with the spiritual realm. It is this personal initiation that is missing in religions today. It begins with what many cultures describe as a calling. Now, the calling can be experienced as a serious illness, or perhaps a psychological crisis, or a vivid series of dreams or visions. These experiences are interpreted as signs that the spirits have chosen the individual for the shamanic path in life. In many traditions, these initial signs are followed by a symbolic death and rebirth. This may be enacted through intense and elaborate rituals. These rituals are meant to strip away the initiate's former identity. You die as to the old man, and you raise as a new man, as St. Paul said in the New Testament. This rising prepares them for their new role as a bridge between the worlds, very similar to the rainbow theme in ancient mythologies. During the initiation, the shaman-to-be might undergo periods of isolation, fasting, and a week-long fast is not unknown, and meditation. These are designed to produce and induce visions and direct encounters with powers and spirits. Through these experiences, they acquire their own spirit guides and gain access to spiritual knowledge and healing powers. This period also often involves learning from an experienced shaman. The experienced shaman teaches the initiate about the spiritual and medicinal properties of plants, the interpretation of dreams and visions, the technique of healing, and the rituals and songs of the culture. The culmination of this initiation is usually marked by a public ceremony where the community acknowledges the initiate's new status. The ceremony not only confirms the new shaman's abilities and status, but it puts them back into the society with their new role clearly defined. Everyone knows what the shaman is to do. The process solidifies his authority or her authority and the capability to mediate between the human and the spiritual realm. The shaman's drum is a central and sacred tool in many shamanic traditions around the world. It serves as more than just a musical instrument. It is a vehicle through which the shaman enters into the altered states of consciousness and travels to the spirit world. The drum's rhythmic beating is fundamental in guiding the shaman's journey during the rituals and ceremonies. The significance of the drum stems from its ability to alter consciousness and facilitate spiritual journeys. The repetitive and steady beats of the drum mimic the natural rhythms of the body and the earth, helping to put one in a trance state, and therefore the usual boundaries of perception are transcended. During this trance, Shamans believed they could communicate with spirits, they could heal the sick, they could divine the future, or guide the souls of the dead to their resting places. The drum, therefore, is not simply for music. It is a powerful symbol of the shaman's authority and connection to spiritual realms. He rides to the other worlds on that drum. It does carry symbolic decorations, which enhance its sacredness and the potency of its sound. These might include images of spirit animals, cosmic symbols, or other motifs significant to the shaman's culture and personal spiritual journey. Each drum is usually personally crafted and consecrated by the shaman, imbued with their personal powers and spirits. Thus, when played, the drum isn't a tool for a living embodiment of the shaman's spiritual world. It's resonating with personal and communal energies and intentions as well. In the shamanic belief systems, the physical world is typically viewed as being densely interwoven with the spiritual world. It's here among us, we just do not see it. Spirits are considered to inhabit natural elements, trees, rivers, rocks, animals, mountains, including celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, the stars. This worldview is often described as animistic, meaning that all things, living and non-living, are believed to possess a spiritual essence. Shamans operate under the premise that these spirits can influence the material world and the lives of people within it, positively as well as negatively. They regard their interactions with these spirits as crucial for maintaining the balance and harmony of their community with the balance and harmony of our home, this earth. The shaman's role, therefore, involves constant communication and negotiation with these spirits. They ensure that these spirits are appeased and respected and cooperating with the human world. For example, a shaman might invoke the spirit of a river for a successful fishing season, or communicate with the spirit of a mountain or a tree for protection. Such practices highlight the shaman's role as a mediator between humans and the spirit entities that populate their immediate environment. This integrated and respectful coexistence with spirit-filled nature is fundamental to shamanist practices and their understanding of the world. Antlers and horns are prominent features in the costumes of shamans across many different cultures. They do hold highly significant symbolic and spiritual value, but there are other multiple purposes for these shamanic practices. The antlers and horns are associated with various animals that are considered spiritually powerful and wise. Elk, deer, reindeer. In Siberia and Northern European shamanism, by incorporating these elements into their attire, shamans symbolically adopt the qualities of these animals, their strength, their endurance, and their deep connection to the earth through their noses, their eyes, their ears. This is believed to enhance their ability to communicate with the spirit world and to embody the power of these animals during rituals. Wearing antlers or horns helps the shaman transcend human identity, enter a liminal state where they can engage more effectively with the spirit world. It aids in the transformation from a human to a more potent spiritual entity during the performance of rituals, enabling them to navigate the spirit world more effectively and with more power. In many cultures, antlers and horns are seen as symbols of protection and authority. They are physical manifestations of spiritual power. These shield against negative forces and as a marker of the shaman's elevated status within the community. In many cultures, antlers and horns are seen as symbols of protection and authority, and this can be seen as physical manifestations of physical power, serving as a shield against the negative forces. They do bridge the human and spiritual realms, reflecting the shaman's deep connection with nature and the powerful forces it harbors. The concept of ascending to heaven or spiritual realms is a common motif found in many religious and shamanic traditions, including some where shamans physically climb structures or natural features like trees to symbolically reach the spiritual world. The practices and interpretations may vary widely between cultures and religions. This ascent, involving climbing trees or even mountains, is a part of a ritualistic journey. These physical acts are often symbolic, and they represent the shaman's journey through different layers of the entire cosmos, typically the underworld, the middle world or earthly realm, and the upper world, the heavenly or spiritual realm. Trees, in particular, are seen as sacred beings connecting the different layers of the universe. Therefore, climbing a tree can be viewed as moving towards the upper world, facilitating closer communication with the spirits or the deities that reside there. Jacob's dream of a ladder reaching to heaven, described in Genesis 28:10-19 of the Old Testament, shares some thematic elements with shamanistic journeys. In the biblical narrative, Jacob dreams of a ladder set up on the earth with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God are ascending and descending on it. God stands above it and reiterates the covenant promises made to Abraham and Isaac, and therefore extending those to Jacob. This marks a significant spiritual awakening and a covenantal moment for Jacob, affirming his chosen status and the sacredness of the location, which he names Beit El, meaning the house of God. Now, while Jacob's ladder shares symbolic similarities with shamanistic practices and rituals, the transversal between the earthly and divine realms, it's not typically described within the context of shamanism. The narrative functions within the religious and theological framework of Judaism and Christianity, emphasizing divine promise and presence rather than an initiated shamanic journey. In Jacob's case, the ladder serves as a symbol of direct communication with God and the perpetual connection between God and the chosen people, rather than a tool for a human to manipulate or control spiritual forces. While both the shamanic tree climbing and Jacob's ladder involve themes of ascension to higher spiritual realms, they originate from different cultural and theological contexts, and they serve different spiritual purposes. Jacob's ladder is more about divine revelation and promise. Shamanistic climbing is about mediation and interaction within the spiritual ecosystem. Shamanism is not typically considered a direct aspect of contemporary psychology, as today understood within the frameworks of science and materialism. Elements of shamanic practices have been examined and integrated, however, into certain areas of psychology, the alternative therapeutic methods, the study of altered states of consciousness, etc. The way to get us into tune with nature, our journeying through spiritual communication, integrating our shadow self within ourselves. These are analogous concepts in modern psychology that give us to understand we are a part of the overall picture of nature. Some contemporary therapists incorporate the drumming as a good technique to help us in a guided visualization and journeying, to help us induce trance states that help access deeper levels of the psyche. This is often also used also. The natural environment has been shooed and eschewed from modern society. Shamanism is a way to help us integrate back into it. From the perspective of scientific materialism, which is based on empirical evidence and typically excludes spiritual or non-material dimensions, shamanism does present challenges. It operates on premises that are often not empirically testable, such as spirit interaction and the efficacy of spiritual healing. So it remains largely outside the scope of conventional scientific inquiry, though some researchers advocate for a more open, integrative approach to include non-material phenomenon in psychological studies. Shamanism, even though it's not directly a part of the science of psychology, its influence is seen in various therapeutic and theoretical frameworks. These incorporate a broader understanding of human consciousness and healing, and these interactions reflect a growing interest in bridging ancient wisdom and modern psychological science.